What's going on, y'all? Well, I'm Eli. Welcome back to another video where the lighting is harsh and the miles just don't matter. That's not true, but in today's video, we're going to talk about me dropping the subframe in this now 345,000 mile E46 M3. I spared you guys the boredom of watching me take it apart. One, because I didn't want to film it because it takes a long time. And two, because FCP Euro has literally everything that you need to do on their channel in a 50-minute long DIY video. So if you want to know how to take your subframe apart, head on over to the FCP Euro channel or the blog post in the description. But moral of the story, we're here on the E46 M3. We have 2 bolts left and the entire subframe is coming down. As I'm sure you know, on E46 M3s, one of the most vulnerable parts of the car is actually the rear subframe. They crack, they wear, they get stressed over time. So I was very anxious to drop the subframe on this car. It actually took me almost 6 months of ownership to finally grow a pair enough to do it. And so the project took place over about 2 weeks. This is the biggest project I've ever taken on by a very, very, very long shot. Thankfully, we have our shop space to do it in, so I felt comfortable leaving the car in pieces with tools all around or whatever, but man, this was a very involved process. So I'm sure you're wondering what the status of the subframe was. First step is obviously to drop the subframe out of the car, which Zach and I went ahead and did. Bro, it's not cracked. No. There's not a single crack. Are you kidding me?
No, there's nothing.
So upon all our inspection, this is the only crack that we can find in the entire subframe. I went ahead and ground the paint off of it, and I think Pound and I are gonna weld that. All right, well there she is, prepped for Pound's welding. I drilled holes on either end of the crack. Because of the way the light was, I actually missed a little portion of the crack there, so we actually have 3 holes instead of 2. But I'm under here looking at everything else, and it really does look, I mean, here's the other mounting point. There's not a single crack there. Then you got this guy over here. Not a single crack. This guy back here. Again, not a single crack. It's wild. Honestly, 1 crack in the subframe is super impressive, considering the car's mileage. It had 344 and change at the time, and now has 345. We hit it on track today. To find 1 little tiny crack is super impressive. Now, granted, a lot of this car's driving was on the highway, and I think that a lot of the subframe cracking stems from stress and flexing back and forth. So it makes sense why it's not super damaged, but either way, I was expecting the worst.
In half a mile, turn right on Johnson Road.
Either way, I was expecting the worst, and to have virtually no damage was pretty fantastic. So Pound and I went ahead and welded it up. We did not do the reinforcement plates. I think I'll do those at a later date with Billy, just based on the time. And also, I jacked the car up just low enough to be inconvenient. And what I mean by that is, if you were sitting under the car with the welder and the welding helmet on, your head was cocked at a 45-degree angle in order for it to actually fit under there. So Pound and I decided, rather than him doing that and spending a lot of hours with his head crooked, which Pound's also doing me a favor, I'm not paying him or anything, although I probably should, we decided that it's easier just to weld the crack, and then we'll go to Billy's shop where there's a lift, drop the subframe there and put the reinforcement plates in. Or if I sell the car, which by the way, this car is technically for sale now. If you'd like it, you can email me, IgnitionTube@gmail.com. But if I sell the car, I'll just give the next owner the reinforcement plates, but I obviously have pictures of all the subframe mounting points, so nothing to really stress about. While we were in there, I also replaced virtually every single bushing. And now the funniest bushings were the rear, I guess you would call them rear camber arm bushings, and the ones that were above that on the rear knuckle, whatever the actual term for it is. Those came out, and I was moving them side to side by hand, and I was like, wow, these don't feel bad at all. What's wrong with that? Then I went and got the new ones and realized that you're not supposed to be able to move the bushings by hand. Dangerous tool. Well, that's why we're taking it off in the first place, but I'd really like for the whole thing to come off. Well, I got this guy off. Don't be hot, please. Okay. There we go. Or not. Problem solved. Now how am I gonna get that out? New problem. Problem solved again. That all is done. And let me tell you, the car feels absolutely unbelievable. There was so much play in the drivetrain that literally part of letting the clutch out was letting the drivetrain shift from here to here before it like fully engaged. So the clutch engagement is way more positive now, and man, what a difference. I mean, if you have an older car and you feel slop in the drivetrain, just go ahead and refresh the bushings. It is 150% worth your time. It is 150% worth the effort. And, I mean, it's gonna last another, what, 100 to 200,000 miles now? But overall, man, I am stoked on the way this car feels. And then we took it to a little track day at Lime Rock where we did a little wet skid pad action. Took it easy over there, didn't go too crazy. It was super fun and rewarding to learn rear-wheel drive in a controlled area. And we also did a little bit of the autocross track. Luckily there were some other cars there that I could drive, so I didn't have to put too much wear and tear on this car, but put a couple of laps in there as well. Nothing crazy. I mean, 345,000 miles, I really want anything to break, so I wasn't really beating on it too hard. But man, had an absolute blast. All right, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I've been winging it and it's been fun. All right, here we go. Ready? Absolute blast. Now, my buddy Alex keeps asking me, do you love this car? Do you love this car? No, like I'm not in love with the car, but after today, I can see why so many people like them. That moment of like seeing why so many people like them never happened with my RS4. I was like, this car's just kind of overrated in general, other than the exhaust noise. This car, I can understand if that track day stuff is what you do, which it isn't what I do, although I have kind of a new appreciation for it. But if that's what you do, this car is so predictable, it's so easy. I mean, just the fact that I've never slid rear-wheel drive before, and after like 4 attempts I was doing that, pretty unbelievable. This car owes nobody anything. 345,000 miles, still runs like a champ, driving me home, everything is good. It's a good car. So, while I'm not in love with it, I can definitely appreciate it, and I appreciate it even more given its age and its mileage, so. That's all I got for you guys today. We got some SQ5 content coming up. Hopefully this car sells to one of you, and if not, bring a trailer, cars and bids, I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Go out there and spread some positivity, and I will catch you guys in the next video. That's JR passing me.